I was 32 years old when my life changed forever. Growing up in a close-knit family with traditional values had shaped me into who I am today. My parents and I shared a bond that I thought was unbreakable, built on decades of trust, love, and mutual respect. I had known my buddy Jake since high school, but his sister Amanda was just someone I would occasionally see at gatherings. Never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined that a single phone call would tear my entire world apart and force me to question everything I believed about family and loyalty. Before I continue this painful story, let me know where you are watching from and hit that like and subscribe button. Trust me, you will want to follow along to see how I finally reclaimed my life after being betrayed by everyone I loved. Life was good for me back then. I had worked my way up to construction manager at a growing company in our town of Millfield, Pennsylvania. Every Sunday without fail, I would join my parents, Thomas and Sarah, and occasionally my sister Natalie for dinner at their suburban home, just a 15-minute drive from my apartment. My father was a respected pastor at Millfield Community Church, known for his powerful sermons about family values and personal accountability. My mother worked alongside him organizing community outreach programs and charity events. They were pillars of our community, and I had always strived to make them proud. "Lucas, we are so blessed to have a son like you," my mom would often say during our Sunday gatherings, her eyes gleaming with pride as she passed the mashed potatoes. My father would nod in agreement, his hand firmly squeezing my shoulder. "A man of integrity just like I raised you to be." These moments meant everything to me. Our family bond was built on unwavering trust and honesty. In our household, your word was your bond and family loyalty came above all else. I had internalized these values completely. My friend Jake and I had played football together in high school. Though we had drifted apart during college, we had reconnected when I ran into him at a local bar about 2 years ago. Since then, we would meet up every couple of weeks for beers and to catch up. His sister Amanda was 3 years younger than us. I knew who she was, of course, but we rarely exchanged more than pleasantries when our paths crossed. Things were looking up professionally, too. Just last month, I had received a promotion that put me in line for an executive position within the next few years. I had recently ended a 3-year relationship with my girlfriend Heather. The breakup had been amicable, but left me focusing more on work and family. "You will find the right girl when the time is right," my father assured me during one of our Sunday dinners. "God has a plan for everyone." About 6 weeks ago, Jake invited me to a housewarming party at his new apartment. It was a typical gathering with about 20 people, mostly friends from our high school days, catching up over drinks and music. Amanda was there too, chatting with some friends in the kitchen when I went to grab another beer. "Lucas, right, Jake talks about you all the time," she said, smiling warmly. "Yeah, good to see you again, Amanda," I replied, making polite conversation for a few minutes about her nursing job at the local hospital, before rejoining Jake and some other friends in the living room. It was a brief, forgettable interaction. At least I thought it was forgettable. I had no idea that this mundane exchange would somehow be twisted into something that would destroy my life as I knew it. The call came on a Sunday morning. I was just finishing my coffee and getting ready to head to the gym before the family dinner later that day. When I saw my father's name on the screen, I answered with a smile, expecting our usual brief chat about what time I should arrive or what dessert my mother had prepared. "Lucas." His voice was cold, distant, nothing like his usual warm greeting. "I need you to come to the house right now." "Dad, is everything okay?" I asked, immediately concerned. "Is Mom all right? Just come to the house. Immediately." He hung up without another word. My heart raced as I drove to my parents' house, my mind cycling through terrible scenarios. Had someone died? Was someone sick? The dread in my stomach intensified with each passing mile. When I arrived, my father opened the door with an expression I had never seen before. His eyes, usually warm and inviting, were hard as stone. He silently led me to the living room, where my mother sat rigid on the couch. Across from her sat Amanda, Jake's sister. Her eyes were red from crying, and her hands rested protectively over her visibly pregnant belly. I stood frozen, completely confused about what was happening. "Sit down," my father commanded, pointing to a chair positioned to face all three of them like an interrogation. "What is going on?" I asked, looking between them. Amanda spoke first, her voice trembling. I cannot do this alone anymore, Lucas. I need you to take responsibility. Responsibility for what I asked, genuinely confused. The baby, she said, tears flowing down her cheeks. Your baby. The accusation hit me like a physical blow. I actually took a step backward, my mind reeling. What? That is impossible, I stammered. I have never, we never. Stop lying. My father thundered, his pastor's voice filling the room. This poor girl has told us everything. How could you abandon her like this? Amanda launched into a detailed story about how we had supposedly connected at a party 3 months after Jake's housewarming. According to her fabrication, we had run into each other at a local bar, shared several drinks, and ended up back at my apartment. She claimed I had promised to call her afterward but never did, and when she discovered she was pregnant and reached out, I had blocked her number. None of it was true. Not a single word. That never happened. I insisted, my voice rising in panic. Mom, Dad, you know me. I would never do something like that and then deny it. I barely know Amanda. My mother's eyes filled with tears. Then why would she come to us? Why would she tell us all this if it were not true? I do not know, I said desperately. But I swear to you, I have never been with her. Never. She is 7 months pregnant, Lucas, my father said, coldly. She needs support. The baby needs a father. But I am not the father. I insisted. This is insane. Have you even asked for any proof? Amanda pulled out her phone and showed them text messages supposedly from me. Later I would discover these were from a burner phone, but in that moment they appeared damning. I never sent those, I said, my voice hollow with disbelief. My father stood up, his expression a mixture of rage and profound disappointment. I raised you better than this. To think my own son would abandon his responsibilities, deny his own child. There is no child of mine. I shouted, desperation making my voice crack. Dad, Mom, please. You have known me my entire life. How can you believe this over me? My mother could not even look at me. We need some time, Lucas. I think you should go. As I left, shell shocked, and reeling, my phone buzzed with a text from Jake. How could you do this to my sister? You lying piece of garbage. Stay away from my family, or I will make you regret it. In the span of an hour, my entire support system had crumbled around me, all based on a lie I could not disprove. 2 days later, I received a formal text message from my father. Sunday dinners are suspended until you take responsibility for your actions. Your mother and I need time to process your betrayal of our family values. I called immediately, but the call went straight to voicemail. I tried again and again. I drove to their house, only to find no one answered the door, though both cars were in the driveway. The next day at the construction site, Jake approached me, his face contorted with rage. You have some nerve showing your face around here, he spat. Several of our coworkers turned to watch. Jake, I swear to you, nothing ever happened between me and Amanda, I said, trying to keep my voice low. She is lying. Yeah. Then how does she know what your bedroom looks like? How does she have your texts? I do not know, but I am telling you the truth. He shoved me hard, sending me stumbling backward. Stay away from my family. You are dead to me. Our supervisor separated us, but the damage was done. By lunchtime, whispers followed me around the site. By the end of the week, people I had worked with for years were avoiding eye contact. The rumors spread through our small community like wildfire. I started getting strange looks at the grocery store. A couple who had always been friendly at my apartment building now hurried past without acknowledging me. The following Sunday, I received another text from my father. Your mother and I have spoken with Pastor Wilson. He suggests you come in for counseling about taking responsibility for your actions. My sister Natalie called me that evening, the only family member still speaking to me. Lucas, what is going on? Mom and Dad are devastated. Natalie, I swear to you, Amanda is lying. I never touched her. I barely know her. Then why would she make this up? I do not know. But I am telling you the truth. There was a long silence. I want to believe you, but Mom showed me the texts, and they seem pretty clear. They are fake. I insisted, my voice cracking. Please, Natalie. Not you too. I will try to talk to them, she promised, but I could hear the doubt in her voice. The next blow came when my boss called me into his office. Lucas, I have received some concerning feedback about your personal conduct, he began awkwardly. This is about Amanda, I said flatly. He nodded uncomfortably. We value you as an employee, but this company has a reputation to uphold. If there is a personal situation you need to resolve, I am being falsely accused, I said firmly. There will be a paternity test after the birth that will prove it. He seemed relieved at this. Good. That should clear things up. In the meantime, maybe you could work on the Brighton project. It would mean less interaction with Jake. I was being sidelined at work because of a lie. As Thanksgiving approached, I received a text from my mother. We think it is best if you give us space this holiday. Amanda and her family will be joining us. Perhaps by Christmas you will have come to your senses. It was the first holiday in my life I spent completely alone. I tried calling them, but no one answered. I sent gifts, but they were returned unopened. On Christmas Eve, my father sent me a message that brought me to my knees. Until you make things right, you are no longer welcome in this family. Your mother is heartbroken, and I cannot allow you to continue hurting her this way. This is not how we raised you. Amanda continued spreading her story. Mutual friends stopped calling. Jake and I were kept on separate projects at work, but I could feel my reputation dissolving. Even my supervisor, who had initially seemed supportive, began treating me with thinly veiled disdain. I spiraled into depression. My work suffered. I started missing deadlines. My apartment, once meticulously kept, became a reflection of my inner state, disordered and neglected. Natalie visited once, standing awkwardly in my messy living room. They miss you, she said. But Dad says the ball is in your court. There is nothing to make right, I said hollowly. I cannot claim a child that is not mine. She left shortly after, unable to bridge the chasm between us. 3 weeks before Amanda's due date, I received an official letter from my family's longtime lawyer. Dear Mr. Lucas Harrington, it began formally. This letter is to inform you that you have been removed as beneficiary from the Harrington Family Trust, the deed to the lake house property, and all other family holdings. Your parents have instructed me to inform you that this decision is final unless you take legal and financial responsibility for your child with Amanda Porter. Enclosed was a handwritten note from my father. You are no longer my son. 5 simple words that shattered what remained of my heart. I collapsed on the floor of my apartment. The letter clutched in my trembling hands and sobbed like I had not done since I was a child. For hours, I lay there feeling like my life was over. Everything that defined me, my family, my reputation, my sense of self, had been stripped away by a lie I could not disprove. But somewhere in that darkest moment, something shifted inside me. A clarity emerged through the fog of despair. If I continued this way, Amanda's lie would define the rest of my life. I needed to fight back systematically. The next morning, I contacted a lawyer of my own, Michael Reeves. They cannot legally force you to take responsibility for a child without proof of paternity, he assured me after hearing my story. Once the baby is born, we can petition the court for a DNA test. What if she refuses? Then that looks extremely suspicious. No judge would look favorably on that. For the first time in months, I felt a flicker of hope. I began meticulously gathering evidence. I checked my credit card statements and discovered I had been in Philadelphia at a construction conference on the weekend. Amanda claimed we had been together. I found hotel receipts, conference registration, confirmation, even photos posted on social media, placing me 100 miles from where she claimed we had met. I contacted witnesses who could verify my whereabouts. I documented every interaction I had ever had with Amanda, which amounted to perhaps 3 brief conversations in group settings over several years. While I built my case, Amanda gave birth to a baby boy. She named him Thomas after my father. The knife twisted deeper when I saw my parents posting proud grandparent photos on social media, embracing a child that was not related to them in any way. Through my lawyer, I immediately filed for a court-ordered paternity test. Amanda initially refused, claiming it was unnecessary since she knew who the father was. But her story began showing inconsistencies under legal scrutiny. She could not explain how I had supposedly been in two places at once. She had no witnesses to our alleged encounter. The text messages she produced came from a number that could not be definitively linked to me. The judge ordered a mandatory DNA test. The 2 weeks waiting for results were the longest of my life. I barely slept. I lost weight. I existed in a constant state of anxiety, even though I knew with absolute certainty what the results would show. Finally, my lawyer called. "The results are in," he said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. 0% probability of paternity. You are absolutely not the father. I broke down crying in relief. My lawyer arranged for the results to be formally presented to my family and to Amanda, along with all the evidence we had gathered, proving her story was fabricated. Amanda's house of cards collapsed. Confronted with irrefutable scientific evidence and the timeline discrepancies we had documented, she finally admitted the truth. The real father was her ex-boyfriend, who had left town when she told him she was pregnant. She had targeted me because of my stable job and family connections, believing I would simply accept responsibility rather than fight the accusation. I was desperate, she sobbed during our legal confrontation. I did not think it would go this far. My lawyer ensured she signed a formal statement admitting her false allegations, which would protect me from any future claims. We decided not to press charges for defamation contingent on her making a public apology and informing everyone she had told about her lie. Jake called the day after the test results became known. "Man, I do not know what to say," he began awkwardly. "I should have believed you." "Yes, you should have," I replied coolly. "I thought we were friends." "We are. I mean, I hope we still can be. I was just trying to support my sister. By threatening me, by helping destroy my reputation without a shred of evidence. I am sorry, Lucas. Truly." I ended the call without accepting his apology. Some bridges cannot be immediately rebuilt. My parents left a dozen messages that I did not return. I needed time to process the depth of their betrayal. They had known me my entire life, raised me with their values of honesty and integrity, and yet had discarded me based on the word of a virtual stranger. Finally, 2 weeks after the test results, I agreed to meet them at a neutral location, a coffee shop downtown. My mother burst into tears the moment she saw me. My father, the proud pastor, looked diminished, somehow aged years and months. "Lucas, son, we have no words," he began, his voice breaking. "We failed you completely." "Yes, you did." I agreed, maintaining my composure though my heart was racing. "You chose to believe someone you barely knew over your own son. You cut me out of your lives, called me a liar, said I was no longer your son. We were wrong," my mother sobbed. "So terribly wrong. Can you ever forgive us?" I looked at them both, these people who had been my foundation, my security, my home. Now they were strangers, asking for something I was not sure I could give. "I do not know," I answered honestly. "I need time." 6 months passed. Spring turned to summer, bringing with it a gradual, cautious healing. I established clear boundaries with my family. Sunday dinners resumed, but less frequently and on my terms. I did not immediately move back into the inner circle of trust. That would take time to rebuild, if it ever could be fully restored. My father stepped down from his position, giving sermons about family values. "I cannot preach what I failed to practice," he told his congregation, in a tearful confession that I was told about but did not attend. Work improved significantly. My boss apologized for doubting me, and I was restored to my original projects with a small raise, as an unspoken acknowledgement of the injustice I had suffered. I formed new friendships with people who had never heard Amanda's lies, people who knew me for who I truly was. I joined a community basketball league and found camaraderie there that helped heal some of the wounds of betrayal. Jake continued reaching out, but I kept him at a distance. Some betrayals cut too deep for easy reconciliation. Amanda moved to another state shortly after the truth came out, unable to face the community she had deceived. She sent me a letter that seemed genuinely remorseful, explaining that fear and desperation had driven her actions. I acknowledged it but did not respond. Through a mutual friend, I met Melissa, a kindergarten teacher, with kind eyes and a genuine laugh. On our third date, I told her everything that had happened. "That must have been incredibly painful," she said, reaching for my hand across the table. "But look how strong it made you." Her words struck me profoundly. Through all the pain and isolation, I had found a resilience I never knew I possessed. I had fought for the truth and won. I had learned who truly stood by me and who did not. Most importantly, I had learned that family is not just about blood or obligation. It is about who earns your trust and respects your truth. Last month, I attended my first holiday gathering with my parents since the ordeal began. Melissa came with me, a gentle support by my side. The dynamics had shifted permanently. My parents were more careful, less certain in their pronouncements about right and wrong. I was more independent, less concerned with their approval. We are building something new from the ashes of what was destroyed. Not better or worse, just different. Based on harder lessons and earned trust rather than blind obligation. As we sat around the table, my father raised his glass in a toast. "To truth," he said simply, his eyes meeting mine with a new humility. "To truth," I echoed, feeling the weight of all we had lost and the value of what remained. The journey through betrayal teaches you that nothing is guaranteed, not even the love you thought most secure. But it also shows you your own strength. When everything is stripped away, when you stand alone against a tide of lies, you discover who you truly are. Have you ever had to stand up for the truth when everyone around you believed a lie? How did you find the strength to keep fighting? Let me know in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to hear more real-life experiences, and share this with someone who might need to hear that the truth eventually prevails, even through the darkest times. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, sometimes the family you rebuild after betrayal is stronger than the one you lost.